City of Northglenn, Channel 8, keeping you informed of events in your community.
I will now call to order the regular City Council meeting of October 28, 2019. Joanna, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Escabel is absent. Mayor Pro Tem Leidy?
Here.
Councilmember Sowers?
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Here.
Councilmember Downing?
Here.
Councilmember Brown?
Here.
Councilmember Whitman?
Here.
Councilmember Duran-Mullica?
Here.
Councilmember Wilford?
Here.
Excellent. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Manager Guyer, are there any responses to citizen inquiry?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Leidy. Last week, I received 2 inquiries in regards to the speed limit along Washington Street, along with a concern about no parking zone areas in the vicinity of Stuckey Elementary School. I have been backlogged and have not been able to respond to the residents that submitted those complaints. It's a high priority this week. I just wanted the residents to know and let council know that I will be reaching out to those residents, but have not been able to do so yet.
Okay, thank you. Agenda additions and deletions. One deletion is Grayson Saylor is under the weather. Her proclamation will be rescheduled for November 18th. Is there anything else? No, seeing none. We have some interviews today. Will Shelby Rosner come to the podium? Welcome. So you were being interviewed for a position on the Youth Commission.
Yes.
Can you give us a little background and why you want to serve on the Youth Commission?
Well, I've always kind of struggled in having my voice heard, and I'm very passionate. There are a lot of things I'm very passionate about, such as mental health resources, advocating for LGBT youth and other minorities like that. And so this feels like a really great way to get involved in government since I'm too young to technically vote. I can still have my ideas heard, and I can volunteer and just get involved in the community.
Council, do you have any questions?
Just thank you so much for applying. I think you'll be an asset to the commission.
Thank you so much.
Can you tell me, what high school do you attend?
I attend Horizon High School.
Okay. Any other questions for Shelby?
Awesome.
Well, thank you for your willingness to serve. I really appreciate it and look forward to having you on our commission.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. All right, Isaiah, please come forward. Also being interviewed for a position on the Youth Commission. Hi, welcome. Can you give us a little background and tell us why you're interested in the Youth Commission?
I'm interested in the Youth Commission because I really want to be informed about politics as a youth so I can grow up and maybe consider it as a job, or I can even help my community being as young as I am.
And what high school do you attend?
I attend Faith Christian Academy in Arvada.
Welcome. Any questions for Isaiah from council? Yeah.
First of all, thank you for coming out. I'm so sorry, and I probably should have asked the young lady the same question. What grade are you in?
I'm in 9th.
You're in 9th grade. I was just curious. And do you live in Arvada, or do you live in Northglenn?
I live in Northglenn.
And how did you hear about the Youth Commission?
I heard about the Youth Commission because my mom was one of the original founding members.
Oh. Thank you, sorry.
It's awesome.
Anybody else? Well, Well, thank you, Isaiah, for coming tonight. Really appreciate it, and we look forward to having you serve on our youth commission.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
Okay, we have some proclamations tonight, so if you'll join me down below.
Up at the very front.
Is that? Do you want to use them?
Sorry, wasn't sure.
You still running away from all this stuff, right? It's my privilege to be able to read this proclamation. The City of Northglenn celebrates the 50th anniversary in 2019. And whereas the city is celebrating residents whose contributions have positively affected the city and the lives of others. And whereas Leslie Carrico currently serves on the Northglenn Community Foundation and the Victim Assistance and Law Enforcement Board, which we call VAIL, and previously served as a member of the City Council representing the residents of Ward 2. And whereas in addition to volunteering with the city, Leslie has also been involved with the Dan Peak Foundation and the Northglenn Thornton Rotary Club. And whereas Leslie has helped organize a number of Christmas gift drives for children attending the Cleo Wallace Academy, has collected school supplies for children who cannot afford them, and has been nominated for the Mary Chancho Memorial Distinguished Service Award for all of her selfless efforts. And whereas Leslie is described as truly being a bright light who makes people's lives better, not only here in Northglenn, but throughout the North Metro area. And whereas her positive and can-do attitude shows how much she cares about helping others. And whereas Leslie has inspired others and has positively impacted the lives and living conditions of individuals and the community at large. Now, therefore, I, for Antonio Esquivel, Mayor of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, hereby congratulate Leslie Carrigo for being honored by fellow residents, City Council, and myself for her contributions to the City of Northglenn, dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 20th day of October 2019. Congratulations.
Just thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks, Joyce.
Sure. And Leslie has served with me in Ward 2 for many, many years. So she has also inspired a lot of people that I know of, too. So congratulations.
But thank you.
Please meet the council.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure working with you. You too. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, you guys take a picture. Oh, my gosh. Yes, you do. Leslie, come on. Oh, now she's going to make us move. Turn that way. Oh, face that way. I'm going to put her in the middle. Oh, no. Like aim that. And then just take like one step back. Because I want to put her in the middle. There you go. Sorry. Joyce, you're going to have to get in closer. There we go. We can do that. I'm good. All right, Joyce, closer. Okay. I think I got everybody. All right. 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Last time. All right. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks. Thank you.
Can I welcome Zen Rose Kretzinger up here? Awesome. I love your hair. My daughter would be so jealous of you right now, just so you know. All right, my name is Julie. Thank you so much for being here tonight. So, whereas the City of Northglenn celebrates its 50th anniversary in 2019, and whereas the city is celebrating residents whose contributions have positively affected the city and the lives of others, and whereas Zen Rose Kretzinger is a great example of a community servant, And whereas Zen Rose has been an active member of the Girl Scouts and has been dedicated to taking on local projects through Girl Scouting. And whereas from a very early age, Zen Rose has used her birthdays to raise money for local causes and has always been interested in how to make a difference for others. And whereas Zen Rose pushes herself to be an ally, from everyday conversations to connect with others, to get involved in local organizations and causes, and whereas at 15 years of age, Zen Rose's service resume is longer than most adults. And Northglenn is lucky to have an amazing person in our city. And whereas Zen Rose has made contributions to improve the quality of life of others, and whereas Zen Rose inspires others and has positively impacted individuals and the community at large. Now, therefore, I, Julie Mullica, on behalf of the Northglenn City Council here, congratulate Zen Rose Kretzinger for being honored by fellow residents, City Council, and myself for her contributions to the city. Dated today.
Okay, so now you go in the middle.
I believe that's what we Marcy and I today.
All right, there we go. Okay, do you wish you need to switch it again? All right. 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Last time. All right, thanks.
All right, Ellie, I'm going to invite you up here. Welcome. I'm Jenny. Thanks for being here tonight. All right, whereas the City of Northglenn celebrates its 50th anniversary in 2019, and whereas the city is celebrating residents whose contributions have positively affected the city and the lives of others, and whereas Ellie Wills has significantly impacted the lives of her neighbors by performing acts of kindness and helping those in need, and whereas Ellie is described as always having a smile on her face and as being willing to help those around her, even though she's busy as a high school student, and whereas Ellie is a great friend and trusted caretaker of her neighbor's dog and has used her magical ability to calm the dog and return her to her owners when she manages to escape. That's a pretty good skill. Do you want to meet my dog? Okay, sorry, here we go. Whereas Ellie is quick to offer her help to her neighbors whose lives have been impacted by a medical issue, whether it's carrying in groceries, opening doors, or taking their dogs on daily walks. And whereas Ellie's neighbors share that her calming and positive presence has made a huge impact on their entire family, and whereas Ellie has made positive contributions to improve the quality of life of others, and whereas Ellie inspires others and has positively impacted individuals in her neighborhood, now therefore I, Jenny Wilford, on behalf of the City Council and Mayor Antonio B. Escobar, hereby congratulate Ellie Wills for being honored by fellow residents, City Council, and myself for her contributions to the City of Northglenn, dated today, this day, the 28th day of October 2019. Congratulations, Ellie.
All right, good job. All right, thanks. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Last time.
All right, I need Jerry Murphy. I think I know I saw. Hello. Whereas the City of Northglenn celebrates its 50th anniversary in 2019, And whereas the city is celebrating residents whose contributions have positively affected the city and the lives of others. And whereas Jerry Murphy is a longtime volunteer for several programs in the city of Northglenn. And whereas Jerry is a snowstormer for multiple residents in his neighborhood, and he participates in the annual bike cleanup program every year to provide bicycles to children in need during the Christmas holiday. And whereas Jerry has participated in many neighborhood cleanup projects to help his fellow residents and to improve the city's appearance. And whereas Jerry has volunteered his time to serve as a judge for the Neighborhood Beautification Awards for several years. And whereas recently Jerry assisted senior residents with the removal of storm debris, including knockdown trees and very large branches. And whereas Jerry quietly goes above and beyond to make a difference in the community and always provides help to others with a smile and a great attitude. And whereas Jerry inspires others and has positively impacted the lives. Now, therefore, I, Meredith Leidy, on behalf of our entire City Council, hereby congratulate Jerry Murphy for being honored by fellow residents, City Council, and myself for his contributions to the City of Northglenn. Dated at Northglenn, Colorado, this 28th day of October 2019. Congratulations. Want to say anything? No? Okay, we'll meet the council. We'll take a picture.
Oh, yeah, you're in the middle. Step back a little bit more. There you go, yeah. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last time. And thank you so much. Council, could you stay there? Can I have you come up again because I cut off somebody on my picture didn't turn out. All right, try it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last one. Okay, thank you very much. Second time around's even better.
So, council, if you'll stay with me, we have one awesome recognition. Gib Gailey. Come on up. Hi. So, I have some details about you I'm going to read. So, Gib is a member of Boy Scout Troop number 124, and you're 13. You're the youngest Eagle Scout participant. Are these all true facts? That's awesome. So Gibbs Eagle Scout project consisted of refinishing and or replacing all of the boards on the 15-plus bleachers for the sports fields at Northwest Open Space. And you also painted the bleachers. That's a huge project. Through his hard work, management of the project volunteers, and acquiring the necessary supplies, Gibb completed the project at the end of September. Thanks to his efforts, the community is able to enjoy the use of the improved bleachers at sporting events and other activities. On behalf of the City Council, I am pleased to present Gibb with the Certificate of Recognition for his Eagle Scout project.
You're just not going to skip this, do hands, you're just going to go for the Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Again. Last one. You didn't get away that easy. All right, 1, 2, 3. We will share. Thank you.
Okay, we have a couple additional presentations. So can we have Karen O'Donnell, President of the Colorado Parks and Recreation Association, step forward? Hi.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. My name is Karen O'Donnell. It's my honor to be here this evening representing the Colorado Parks and Recreation Association. For those of you who don't know, CPRA is a dynamic, proactive organization that creates healthy residents and livable communities by promoting excellence in parks and recreation. Our mission is to promote the parks and recreation profession and its growth throughout the state of Colorado. I recently served as the president of the CPRA board, completing my term at our annual conference earlier this month. As president, I had the privilege of presenting 2 President's Awards at the conference. One of the recipients was your very own Director of Parks, Recreation, and Culture, Amanda Peterson. Amanda was not in attendance at this year's state conference, so I'm grateful for the opportunity to present her award at this evening's meeting. So the CARA, which stands for Colorado Association of Recreational Athletics section, is CPRA's largest section containing 10 subcommittees. The volunteer leaders in this section and its committees dedicate several hours each year making CARA programming in Colorado possible. With the growth in Colorado, the infrastructure of the section became challenging for volunteer leaders and CPRA staff to manage due to time constraints. Thus, the CPRA Board of Directors began the CARA Task Force in 2018, and a leader of this committee was needed. That leader was Amanda Peterson. Amanda's contribution to CPRA began during her term of Secretary-Treasurer from 2013 to 2015. Her leadership during this time on the CPRA Board of Directors, paired with her experience in leading her own Parks, Recreation, and Culture team in the city of Northglenn, made Amanda an excellent facilitator for this group. Amanda accepted the challenge without hesitation and worked efficiently and comprehensively to identify stakeholders and gain their involvement. Amanda dedicated time to understand the issues and challenges, as well as the successes and goals of the CARA section in order to best lead the group toward identifying a path forward. Under her leadership, task force meetings were engaging, productive, well-organized, and the task force left each meeting feeling a strong purpose and a sense of accomplishment. Without her organization, dedication, and solid facilitation, this group may not be where it is today. A section made stronger by a task force that still meets quarterly, has rewritten guiding documents, enhanced efforts to work with Southern Colorado agencies, and heightened the value and participation in the section. I am personally so grateful for Amanda's willingness to take on this challenge and make a positive, long-lasting impact on our organization. At this time, please join me in congratulating Amanda Peterson as a recipient of this year's Colorado Parks and Recreation Association President's Award.
Are you going to say anything, or should I pose you for a picture first?
You can pick.
Okay.
No, I would just like to say thank you to Karen. I had a great time working with the CARA Task Force and being able to be involved with CPRA as our state organization, and appreciate the recognition.
Actually, I'm going to have you guys stand like right in the middle of the stairs, maybe at the end in the background. Right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, and next we have the Youth Commission Quarter 3 report. Who do we have with us tonight? Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Tao. I am the president of the Northglenn Youth Commission, and this is Jarrett Lobb, our treasurer. So we are here to present the quarterly report for the second and third quarters, because since we were not in session over the summer, we were not able to give the second quarter report at the normal time.
Okay.
So for the past few months, Youth Commission has been taking care of a small flower bed at E.B. Rains. The flowers are red, white, and blue so as to honor our nation's veterans, and most of the time we just weed the flower bed, but we provide other resources if necessary.
In the spring, we finished last year's Little Libraries project. So we completed the construction and installation of 3 little libraries, which we installed at 3 local schools, Malley, Northmore, and Hillcrest. And then in May, we held assemblies and dedication ceremonies at each of those schools to reveal the little libraries so that the students could begin to use them. And we had all the students fill the libraries with books, and I have passed by several of them, and they're being actively used, which is very exciting to see.
We've had a lot of graduations over the past 2 years, as we went from having a completely full board to only having 6 members. Recently, our Vice President Everett graduated, and our President Lilly went off to Germany as a foreign exchange student. So to fill the gaps left by those 2, he's gone in as president, and Elizabeth has taken over as vice president.
So while we were not in session over the summer, we did participate in several events. So several youth commissioners participated in the Derby Day event, where they sold burritos to participants at the event, and all the proceeds were donated to Relay for Life. And then in August, we had several commissioners participate in National Night Out, where they rode with police officers to visit block parties in various neighborhoods, and they discussed the Youth Commission and shared our goals and our visions with the community members.
Youth Commission recently had a recruiting event in order to try to get new members to fill the holes left by our recent graduates. We had 4 new people show up, and 3 of them have already expressed interest in joining our group. We also have a lot of other people who have been in contact with us that we're trying to get to join us. And in the future, we're planning on doing Safe Street Halloween, which we did pretty recently. Northglenn, and setting more goals for the future. We're going to work hard to make sure that our next quarters are as successful as our previous ones. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?
I have a quick question for you guys. Have you guys been able to, anyone in your group really, been able to reach out to other youth commissions from other cities? Do you guys have any opportunities to do that?
That's something, we haven't done a lot of that, but that's something that we're working to do a lot more of this year. And I've been in contact with the president of the Thornton Youth Commission, and we're also hoping to reach out to several other communities.
Awesome. The only reason why I ask is because I ended up having a great conversation with a council member from Commerce City who was talking about some of the work their youth commission was doing. And so it was really exciting. And what I'd really like to see, especially with your guys' goal setting, which I'm super excited about, is, what are some things that are really meaningful to you? Like, what is it that you're, where you guys could really feel like you can make a difference or add something or really bring something to the community that could serve, youth like yourself. So I'm excited to looking forward to see what you guys have ideas on.
Oh, I should also mention, at a recent meeting, we had a representative from the Denver Regional Council of Governments come speak to us, because they're forming a youth advisory board sort of organization.
Great.
So we'll be working with, I think, 18 other youth commissions through that around the Denver metro area.
That's an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
Great. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Okay, the Adams County Youth Initiative Youth Vaping Project Outreach. Welcome.
Hi there.
Hi.
Thank you for having us. My name is Jody Nowicki. I am the Senior Director of Collaborative Action at the Youth Initiative of Adams County, also known as ACYI. With me today is Emily Clarendon, who is the TEGA Research Manager. So we're excited to share information with you about the opportunity that came forth for ACYI to support the city of Northglenn with youth vaping. And I also am, on a side note, really proud to share that as of last week, my husband and I are officially under contract for a home in Northglenn. So as a very soon-to-be resident of Northglenn, I'm really excited about this opportunity. So ACYI is a cross-sector partnership of leaders and entities and municipalities of which Northglenn is part of. And we are able to provide support in a lot of different ways to our partnership. And one of those is garnering authentic youth and community voice through the research strategy TEGA, which stands for Technology Enabled Girl Ambassadors. And I believe our CEO, Becky Hoffman, shared some information with you all about that, but it is a peer-to-peer research methodology. We have young women between the ages of 18 and 21 currently on our team who go out and interview people one-on-one using an app on a cell phone. So they're able to go out into their own community and really gather that robust, in-depth information and feedback that you're not able to get through traditional survey methods. So we going to let Emily share a little bit about the opportunity to dive into youth vaping, as that is what we've been approached to do.
Lovely. Thank you, Jody. Good evening, council members. So we're going to take you through a couple of slides this evening just to give you a sense of what the design is. This is really high level to tell you two objectives that we'd really like to focus on with this study is to, one, garner youth and parents' perspectives on vaping, and then two, to obtain insights on the 4 policies that are being put forth. We understand that that may actually only be 2 potential policies, so just want you to know we are thinking about that. Heard that news before the slides were updated. As part of that, some of the different types of questions that we're hoping to answer as a result of this study are listed here. This was a collaboration a couple of weeks ago with the HEAL Committee. They brought forth some of the questions that have been brewing and percolating amongst their community, so we brought them here today for you to have a little bit of insight into what we're thinking about asking youth. All of these questions would be put forward in a youth-friendly voice. We would use a mix of multiple choice questions, ranking questions, scale 1 to 10, 1 to 5, and the same questions would be also asked of parents of youth who do vape and youth who don't vape. In addition to that, of course, we would be looking for feedback on those specific council considerations. So just want you to know that we are looking for ways to creatively address the different sentiments that youth have around those ordinances that are being put forth. Just to give you a little bit of sense of the mix of respondents that we're hoping to capture in this study, 32 youth between the ages of 11 to 18, and 8 parents to round out that perspective of what we're hoping to hear from youth. This would be youth who participate in extracurricular activities, a mix of males and females, and we're hoping to strive for more students and youth who are vaping than we are non-vapers, because ultimately we want to hear how this ordinances are going to impact their behavior and use. Does anybody have any questions before I move off of methodology?
Quick question. What is your target population?
It is Northglenn residents.
Northglenn residents specific?
Yes. Okay. And so in terms of what we'd like to deliver to you on the output of this would be a written report that has a full breakdown of all of the narratives and insights that were lifted from the study, in addition to a presentation deck that would bring to life the voices and video responses of the youth who participated in this study. And then really to get them to participate at that level, we have an entire consent process and really strictly adhere to safeguarding principles to keep them safe as well as Artegas, so that they can have an environment where they feel like talking honestly and authentically about what's going on in the community. So you would get a chance to see audio and video clips from those youth who have consented from a media standpoint. Do you have another question?
Yeah, I was curious. Do you all have experience around getting the audio and video clips specifically around vaping? Because I'm thinking about, teens who may be vaping and the legalities and maybe not wanting to be on the record in terms of engaging in this behavior.
Sure. So our method allows for kids to opt in and out of consent at any time throughout the study. So we give them the choice to disclose, because it is a confidential environment, unless they're under immediate harm. We're not mandatory reporters. This is research, so they can know that they're participating in research and providing their opinions and perspectives without the implications of the legal ramifications that might be at play because they're youth engaging in illegal behavior. We do also allow them to say, I don't want to be filmed for this question, and Artegas will either film the floor or put the phone down on the table so that it's just their audio being recorded. And then we also give them the option for full or partial consent at the end, so they can say, I said a lot of things in this interview that I didn't anticipate I was going to say. Can I pull out, or can I only be part of the aggregated data? So they always have that option.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Sure.
How do you get your target pool? What is the process that you go through to find these people?
So recruitment method is something that we do together with the community. And one of the ways that we're hoping to initiate that is with your youth commission. So we're going to be meeting with them on the 5th next week. And we hope to kind of co-create what that could look like for this community. So that's one potential avenue. The other is that our TEGAs, some of them are from the Northglenn area, but they're all very versed in working in the Adams County region. And so we will be also enlisting them to do snowball sampling. And they are going to be doing some capacity building around canvassing so that they can go out into the neighborhood and talk about the community effort that we're doing collectively, tell them about research we've already done, and hopefully get more buy-in so that they're willing to talk to us about this study. And then the final piece would be to actually leverage community members who are part of this council and ACYI's existing database of respondents who have participated in it at this point. That's over 800 residents in Adams County.
If by any chance we have a resident out there listening or watching and they wanted their child or they wanted to participate, do they have a way to get a hold of you?
Absolutely, they do. They can reach out to tega@acyi.org and let us know that they're interested in the vaping study. And so here's just a kind of a quick rundown of our calendar. We are already kicking off this process. As I mentioned, we met with the HEAL committee last week. We had a chance today to be with you to kind of give you a peek under the hood at types of questions that we're interested in asking. And then we will start to develop the surveys and train the TEGAs and get out into the field in the mid-December, end of Thanksgiving timeframe, and hopefully have a report out by mid-January. Great. So, the other piece of this is that we'll be triangulating insights that are gathered through another partner of ours in the Youth Initiative Adams County's partnership, and that is the Adams 12 5-star school. They are also interested in doing a study around vaping, so we hope to bring some of the insights that are learned there and research is already available, and make sure that the questions that we do end up putting into the study are not replicative, but also just adding to our current context.
Sorry.
No
One
problem.
of the things I would be really interested in seeing in your report is what potential tool is being used. You know what I mean? Are you using Views? Are you using any of the other products, or are you actually purchasing the juice and doing your own?
Okay.
I kind of like to see what the percentages are of the kids that are walking into the juice bars and buying their own concentrate, and the ones that are buying the pre-made or finding the pre-made vapes,
Okay.
So if you could do that, I think it would be a great piece of knowledge.
That would be, we're making notes here, so not a worry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other considerations or thoughts that you all had?
I have two questions, actually. The first one is, when it comes to, well, I guess three. Are you collecting any data around race and ethnicity of the respondents?
Yes, so we
Okay.
have the option to collect screener data going into the study. So when we are recruiting a respondent, and this is something that we would kind of build with you to decide what are the specifications that you need in order to drive forward your initiatives later in next year, in the spring, I believe. And so we can capture race, we can capture gender, we can capture age, we can capture zip code. Whether or not we put all of that information into the report is the second piece of that, but it's certainly for the process of disaggregating the findings and looking at themes through different pockets of our neighborhood. We're happy to do that.
Great, awesome, that sounds awesome. So another question that I have for you is, one of the questions that I'm not sure, I'm gonna leave it to the experts to kind of decide if should be included or not, but one thing I'm interested in is, how is it that we could help aid those that would like to quit? Because I think I saw a question in here, like, do you wanna quit vaping? And I'd like to just kind of get a little bit more information about what they think would be helpful to help them succeed in doing so, because I think that is going to be a huge transition that we need to really plan for and think about, is as we start pushing down on, teens to quit vaping, to stop doing this, you have to understand that nicotine is an addictive substance. How do we aid teens in that transition? So I think that would be something I'd be interested in. And then my final question for you is, for any typical research project, you usually have to get approval through an ethics board. What has your process been?
So TEGA as a methodology has been backed by the Market Research Society globally.
Okay.
And we work with NGOs and government agencies all over the world to develop safeguarding practices as well as do risk assessments in every single community before we design a study. So that is all internal practices that we do. And in terms of like ethics overview with the Youth Initiative Adams County, when we started the pilot here in Adams County, we did cultural scoping, an entire safeguarding assessment with an expert in safeguarding, and follow strict adherence of like lean research principles when it comes to rigor and right-sized and respectful, and all of the different levels of consent and the processes of obtaining parent consent for minors. All of that is part of the protocol.
Okay.
Does that answer your
Good
question?
to hear. Yes, thank you very
Okay,
much. Okay.
Can you kind of restate again why such a small sample size? So TEGA is, the methodology is lean. So we adhere to the lean research principles, and what that means is that we go deep with a small set of sample, and then as we interrogate and find more insights, we can go back and sample more people, target a new group. So I think one of the groups that the HEAL committee is interested in is potentially teachers. I heard another buzzing around maybe industry folks. So as we get the first set of insights from youth and parents, then we can build on that understanding and take and go get another sample. But I think it's really about making sure that the technology that we use can handle the volume of interviews that are coming in and the length of the narrative per question set. So it's a mixture of lean research principles plus the elements of the tech that we use. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Yeah.
Just to wrap up with a comment, thank you so much for stepping in and really trying to run with this opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the youth that get to participate in this. It's a great research opportunity. So I'm excited to hear about what you guys come up with and some great ideas. One question I do have for Heather is I think that this is going to be a great stakeholding process, especially to get a good perspective of, what are our youth and our parents thinking about when it comes to any type of tobacco policy the city's going to do. One thing I would like to see is also have a forum or some type of opportunity for some of those retail businesses to come in and give us their insight and their perspective on this policy as well. I would really appreciate that opportunity.
Yeah, we can definitely work with ACYI, and as they dive into the research, really figure out what that forum can look like.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. No problem. Oh, thank you. Okay, next up is public invited to be heard. Limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statement shall be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. First up is Sandy Aplo. Is that correct? Or Noreen?
It's both.
Both. Okay, welcome.
Hi. I was at the October 5th Ward 3 meeting, on October 5th, and we talked a little bit about traffic, so I was told to come last week, which I did, and that wasn't about traffic, so I wasn't able to speak then. So I did give a copy of this to someone last week who gave an email to everybody. Is that right? So is this the place where I say this? Okay, so I want to talk about the traffic on Washington Street between 104th and 120th. We have lived in our townhouse for 46 years, during which time our home has increased in value more than tenfold. The traffic on Washington Street has also increased tenfold. Many teens cross Washington on skateboards or bikes to get to Webster Lake, as well as families walking their dogs. The first issue is the arrow on the traffic light at 117th and Washington. It allows only one car to turn left at any time during the day. There are as many as 8 cars waiting to turn during the day. People living in the 240 townhomes in the area of Webster Lake use the 117th Street to access Washington, and there are patio homes and 2 sets of apartments as well using it. Numerous accidents have happened at that light, as police records can attest. Speeding on Washington Street and running the light is an increasing problem. The second issue, and more importantly, is speed. On Washington Street between 104th and 120th, the speed limit is 40 miles per hour. It needs to be reduced to at least 35 miles per hour, as it does on parts of 104th. There are 7 schools branching off that corridor. On the east side, there's Stuckey and the Studio School. On the west side, there's the STEM Lab, Thornton Middle, Hulstrom, Malley, and Leroy Elementary. These students walking along Washington Street and cross at the lights, often on bikes, skateboards, and scooters. Some choose to run across the street in other places. I have seen this while driving home from schools that I sub at. A flashing traffic sign would remind drivers to slow down. It took 2 students from Northglenn Middle School to be hit by a car while crossing the school, crossing at Larson and 120th, to have a much-needed traffic light put up at that intersection. Does it take a child being hit by a car to make the necessary changes? I bring this to your attention because I care about the safety of the children walking to school and all who walk along and cross Washington Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any response to that?
This request was distributed to all of City Council, and this is the one of the 2 that I'm backlogged on and have not had time to follow up with staff and figure out what we can do. So my intent is to try to get to it this week after I get all of my packet information put together for next week's meeting. So I apologize, I'm not normally this backlogged, but we've had numerous requests come in from the community, and I've just been backlogged.
And I just want to say, when kids are crossing the street at 117th and Washington, they also only have that short time to cross. Well, the light changes, it's impossible to get across the street.
And I appreciate you coming to council and expressing your concerns. And our Public Works Director, Kent Kisselman, is here tonight. And so he's also received the handout that you provided to council last week. So we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Miles. I don't want to mispronounce your last name. Can you say it for me?
It's Onish.
Onish.
Yes.
Onish, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miles Robert Honish, and I'm an Army veteran. And the reason that I am here tonight is to introduce myself and to tell you about an organization that me and my wife are starting. It's a 501c3 nonprofit called Americans Helping Veterans. Americans Helping Veterans' mission is to prevent and reduce as much as possible the rate of veteran suicide by providing hope and a better quality of life to those veterans that are in need through various types of different programs within our organization. There are about 30,000 veterans in Adams County alone. According to the VA national statistics, on a national average, 11% of all veterans are homeless. If we were to apply the national average to the total number of veterans in Adams County, the total number of homeless veterans in Adams County would be approximately 3,000. That's a staggering number. Out of those 3,000 homeless veterans, 51% have disabilities and 50% have a serious mental illness. There are very little resources here in Adams County aimed at just veterans. Most veteran resources are either in Denver, Golden, or Boulder, which is why I feel it's very important to base Americans Helping Veterans here in Adams County to give our veterans a fighting chance. That is hope. My wife and I bought a house here in Northglenn about 2 months ago, but just 4 short years ago, I was homeless myself, going through a divorce and a bankruptcy all at the same time, fighting depression and opioid addiction and alcohol abuse, thinking that it would be better if my life ended. If it were not for a few selected people that gave me a helping hand because they believed in me, I would not be where I am right here today with a beautiful wife, a beautiful home, a great service dog, and a great, beautiful church that we belong to right here in Northglenn. This is why and what gives me such strength today to start this organization and why it is so close to my heart. No veteran should ever go through what I have gone through alone. One of our many programs that we would like to implement is to assist homeless veterans into suitable housing. We would also be acting as a resource center for veterans, providing resources within the community as well as within the VA system. We would also like to provide a mentor program for those veterans that need help navigating VA services as well as the VA system. We would also like to provide a brotherhood for those veterans in Adams County that are shut-ins so that they know that they are not alone. We would like to provide help with VA claims as well as Social Security claims. We would like to help veterans with any issues that they may be confronted with, to give them hope, to give them a better quality of life. There are 22 veterans that take their lives each day. I was almost one of them. They deserve more. They defended us in our country. Now it's time for us to defend and protect them. And that's what Americans Helping Veterans is all about, is giving hope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Miles. Legislative Policy Committee, is there an update tonight?
A short update. We are still meeting to review our policy statement in preparation for the next legislative session. We do have a legislative dinner planned for December 2nd with both our state representatives, Representative Mollica and Senator. And that's it.
Okay. All right, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve?
Second.
Joanna, can you open the vote?
The vote is open.
Oh, wait.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Great. I think I need that gavel. Public hearings, yes, do I do that?
Liquor license.
They were all together on the consent agenda. Okay, we're going to open the public hearings. Joanna, can you read the title?
So the first one is for CB 1936, a bill for an ordinance amending the city's Unified Development Ordinance.
I will now open the public hearing on CB 1936. Is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against CB 1936? Hi.
Mayor Pro Tem Lady, it doesn't appear that there's anyone here to speak for or against, but if you would like staff to do a summary of the item, Eric Enzi is here and can provide that.
Fantastic. Let us know.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Leidy and members of the City Council. First of all, we in the Planning Department would like to recognize Alan Seeliff for all of his work, planner with the city here, on this particular project. Alan pulled together basically everything that's being presented. I'm just merely taking it across the finish line since Alan took a new job with Adams County, so we will miss him. But I just wanted to briefly give an overview of Council Bill 1936. This is an ordinance amending the city's Unified Development Ordinance. This ordinance is based on a variety of modifications collected during the first 6 months of our implementation, so to speak, of the Unified Development Ordinance since it was originally approved. At the City Council September 9th, 2019 study session, staff presented a list of issues in the form of an errata, a number of issues, and had a pretty lengthy discussion on a lot of those issues. What is being presented in this council bill this evening includes those modifications discussed. The Planning Commission reviewed this proposal and the modifications at their October 1st, 2019 meeting and are presenting a recommendation of approval of those modifications to you this evening. There has been one minor modification to the council bill since it was originally presented on first reading. The land use table has been modified to allow for indoor recreation facility and outdoor recreation facility as permitted uses in the PF or Public Facilities Zone District. This was a clarification resulting from bond counsel for the new Recreation Center, Senior Center, and Performing Arts Theater. Technically, the way we've been reviewing the facility is we looked at it as a community center, which is a permitted use. They did point out the fact that there are indoor and outdoor recreational elements with the structure. So what we're doing is clarifying that land use table to include those specific uses. Staff is recommending City Council approve Council Bill 1936 as presented on second reading this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we didn't have anyone come forward to speak from the public, so I will close the public hearing. There you go. Okay. Next one, CB 1938, fireworks ordinance. I will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone else who would like to come to speak either for or against CB 1938? City Manager Guyer, do you have anybody speaking on this one?
We don't, but we have staff available to answer any questions that we may need to answer.
Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Seeing no one approach, I will close the public hearing. Ordinances on second reading, CB 1936. Do you want to read the title?
Would you like me to?
Go ahead.
A bill for an ordinance amending the city's Unified Development Ordinance.
Move for approval.
Second. Fantastic. City Manager Guyer, do you have anything to add?
Nothing additional.
Is there any discussion of the item? Okay, Joanna, do you want to open the vote?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CB 1936 on second reading passes unanimously.
All right, CB 1938, fireworks ordinance. I'm going to read the title.
A bill for an ordinance adding a new Article 7 of Chapter 9 to the Northglenn Municipal Code regarding fireworks.
Move for approval. Second.
Anything additional, City Manager Guyer?
Nothing additional.
Any discussion? I'm just going to say yay. Very excited about it. Joanna, will you open the vote?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CB 1938 on second reading passes unanimously.
Okay, we have ordinances on first reading. CB 1937. Joanna, will you read the title?
A bill for an ordinance repealing and reenacting sections 11-3-6 and 11-7-3 of the Northglenn Municipal Code regarding oil and gas operations.
Move for approval. Second.
City Manager Guyer, can you summarize it, please?
I am going to turn this over to City Attorney Hoffman for the summary.
Excellent.
Good evening, Madam Mayor Pro Tem and Council. As the Council's aware, the city retained Matt Sura, an oil and gas law specialist, and he will be here on second reading. But this ordinance was drafted to implement the provisions of Senate Bill 181. It is essentially two components. One is the ordinance itself that would be adopted by this ordinance. The other is what are known as BMPs, or best management practices. That will be an accompanying resolution that council will consider on second reading that can be then amended as necessary, a little easier than the ordinance because it relates to things that will change with technology. Mr. Sura will be here, though, on second reading to get into the weeds on this. We would urge you to approve it on first reading and then any significant questions on second reading with Mr. Sura.
Any questions, discussion on this one? Okay, Joanna, will you open the vote?
The vote is open. We'll close that vote, and CB 1937 on first reading passes unanimously.
Thank you. CB 1939. Joanna, will you read the title?
Yep. A bill for an ordinance amending Section 9-9-2, subsection E2 of the Northglenn Municipal Code regarding the definition of openly and publicly for the purposes of marijuana possession and/or consumption.
Second.
City Manager Dyer, do you have any summary for that?
I'm going to turn it over
Again?
to City Attorney
Okay.
Hoffman.
Thank you.
Believe it or not, in 2013, when Amendment 64 was passed by the voters, Amendment 64 contained a provision that said there shall be no open and public consumption of recreational marijuana. The term wasn't defined, and it wasn't defined until this past legislative session by the state. So in 2013, the city adopted a definition to basically fill the void because there wasn't a definition. This ordinance would modify the city's definition ever so slightly to both make it consistent with the definition that's now in state law as of 2019, and also address the difference between open and public possession and consumption and the growing of marijuana. And so the city already has an ordinance that talks about the components for those that elect to do a home grow. This makes it clear that this does not apply to a home grow. This is for possession and consumption of marijuana openly and publicly, and the growing component of recreational marijuana is already in a different portion of the city's code.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? On the current language, it does say, means the consumption or growing of marijuana in a place commonly and usually open to or accessible by the general public. So here's my question. My question surrounds an issue that we had in Ward 2, where someone was growing plants in the backyard. It was above the fence level, so it was visible, open, and accessible. Does this then change that?
It doesn't change that. That was illegal before, and it will be illegal after, under the additional ordinance the city already has that prohibits home grows outside.
Okay, so as long as we can still have that covered, as we did, okay.
It is covered.
Thank you.
Can I ask just a clarifying statement? So open and public means a manner observable by the public or a substantial number of the public, but it doesn't include residential. So if you're in your front yard, is that included as open and public?
That is exempted from being
It is
open and
exempted.
public because you are on your front porch.
Okay.
And that is what part of what the state law clarified in terms of the meaning is. The original intent of Amendment 64, at least based on the proponents, was that this was intended to be used by someone on their own property. And I think that's what the open and public definition 6 years later reflects.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? No? Joanna, will you open the vote?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
We'll close that vote, and CB 1939 on first reading passes unanimously. And I would like to note for the record that the public hearings on CB 1937 and CB 1939 will be held on November 25th, 2019, here in City Hall Council Chambers.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have quite a few resolutions tonight. CR 116. Joanna, will you read the title?
A resolution adopting the 2019 to 2023 strategic plan for the city of Northglenn.
Move for approval.
Second.
Is this you?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Leidy. Before you this evening is the adoption of the 2019 to 2023 City Council Strategic Plan. Included with this plan is a vision statement that has been updated, and for the benefit of our residents watching at home, I'll read this statement. Northglenn is a diverse and welcoming community that celebrates its small-town character, urban energy, and thriving businesses. This strategic document also includes 4 values that City Council crafted to include sustainability, inclusivity, innovation, and engagement. Council also developed a commitment statement which reads to provide a high quality of life to our residents and businesses through the provision of excellent municipal services. And the 8 strategic priorities identified by council include high performance government, community engagement, public safety, business retention and growth, housing opportunities, diverse community, sustainability, and infrastructure. Included in your packet is an Appendix A, which outlines performance measures. I would like to emphasize that to City Council and the public that this portion of the document is a work in progress. And I've included a program logic model to help better differentiate the mode of thinking that I used in terms of development of this section, which really breaks down inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes. The purpose of tonight isn't intended necessarily to go through the Appendix A section, but certainly if there's feedback that you have, feel free to provide that to me. The strategic plan is intended to be a living, breathing document. So included with each strategic priority is a goal definition, which you find included in the document. Next steps following the adoption of the plan this evening include the development of a one-page summary of the strategic plan document, or as Diana and I specifically talked about this morning, an 11 by 17, so technically when you fold it, it's 4 pages. An update of the City Council webpage to include the updated strategic plan, also updating the framed signs that you see in the room this evening with a new visual image with the vision statement, and then inclusion of an article in the December 2019 Connection newsletter. And with that, I will open it up to any questions and feedback.
That's awesome.
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to thank Heather. You definitely championed this. It's been a rough few months to get through this, lots of various versions and iterations, and I just appreciate your efforts in this. I can only imagine how many hours you put forward, and then the rest of the staff who also made contributions to the content as well. And it looks great.
Thank you. I would just like to say thank you as well. I think having a document like this, having it written down, having it a living, breathing document, I think is just so beneficial to the work that all of us are trying to do, and as well as, city staff as well. And so it's an amazing outcome. I didn't even expect this to be the outcome when we started this whole process. And so, thank you so much. I think it really helps wrap up everything that we've discussed as a council, of where we think we should be going as a city, and it's a great end product. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amazing. Big kudos. Yeah.
Thanks.
It is beautiful, and I would just like to add that it also has grown along the way. And so the feedback that you collected from city staff and from us, you can see that action was taken, which is great. I do think, there was a note in here that the graphic design was done in-house. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a visually pleasing document.
Yeah, it is.
But it's also such a testament to the work that your entire leadership team is doing in the city, and it's amazing. So thank you to everyone. Okay, Joanna, open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
We'll close that vote, and CR 116 passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, CR 117. Joanna, do you want to read the title?
A resolution adopting the 2020 budget of the City of Northglenn, Colorado, and appropriating the sums set forth therein.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lady. Jason Loveland, our finance director, is going to walk through a brief summary. He does not have a formal PowerPoint presentation for you this evening, but we'll provide a summary. That way, for those individuals watching at home, they get caught up to speed on where we're at with our proposed 2020 budget.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. The purpose for tonight's meeting is to adopt the 2020 budget as set forth in Section 8.8 of the City Charter. So that's why we're here tonight. It requires that we adopt this by resolution. First and foremost, this is a balanced budget, which means ongoing revenues meet or exceed ongoing expenditures of the city. The total budget for 2020, as proposed, is $121,449,830. Within that, sales and use tax is forecasted to increase by 3%. Largely due to the strength of the local economy within Northglenn and then the surrounding areas as well. Property tax of 11.597 mils. We've seen an increase of 27% of this in the assessed valuation by the county and their preliminary assessment that they provided August 25th. So there's some revenue increases due to that. And then additionally, a blended water and sewer rate increase of 6.7%, which was adopted in 2017. This is year 3 of that program. On the expenditure side of things, improvements to service areas from administration, Parks and Recreation, Police Services, and Public Works are included. This is 9 FTE, or full-time equivalent employees, to be added to the budget. This will help with parks maintenance, traffic enforcement, and then facility maintenance throughout the city. Major projects highlighted in 2020 are the Recreation Center facility that I think you guys had a great groundbreaking on earlier this evening. The Force Main and Lift Station A sewer project, widening at 120th, and then, of course, the residential street program, or some major infrastructure and improvements that people will see throughout the city in 2020. This project kind of started, the budget building process started in August, and so we want to thank, staff wants to thank council for their leadership, their input and review of the budget as we move forward, and staff recommends approval of CR 117. Is there any questions?
I don't really have a question. I just want you, for the people, again, who might be listening to us, remind them why the budget is so much higher this year from last year, specifically going from 28 million to 121.
Okay, yeah, so major projects include the Recreation Center. We have a $51 million budget included in 2020. The 120th widening is a $10 million project. $6 million of that is from a grant. And then the Force Main and Lift Station, about $3.5 million budgeted in 2020. So if you back out some really those 3 major projects, we get back to a budget of about $56 million, which is more typical for the city.
I appreciate you giving that information out. So people can't see the information. I haven't
Of course.
realized how much it's really going to be.
Correct. All right, thank you.
Okay. Joanna, open the vote, please.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CR 117 passes unanimously.
Awesome. CR 118. Joanna, do you want to read it?
A resolution adopting the City of Northglenn 2020 pay plan.
Second.
Any discussion on this one?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lady. So as part of the annual budget process, we bring forward the pay plan that is being requested to adopt via resolution. So included in your staff memo that you see a few things. You see a title change, and then you see other changes to include reclassifications and new positions that were captured in the 2020 budget requests, along with Paula has itemized several positions, titles rather, that are being removed from the 2020 pay plan. If at any point we need to reincorporate those position titles, we will, but a lot of that's just administrative cleanup. So Paula Jensen, our Director of Management Services, is here. I'm happy to answer any questions. We did note under the budget and time implications that we are moving forward with the recommended first phase of the minimum wage increase as council directed recently. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Anybody? No, thank you for noting that. That's a celebration. All right. Joanna, open the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CR 118 passes unanimously.
Excellent. CR 119. Joanna, would you read it, please?
A resolution establishing the mill levy of the City of Northglenn, Colorado for the fiscal year 2019, collectible in 2020 for municipal purposes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lady. This item is a procedural item that we're required to do every year in following the adoption of our city budget for the next fiscal year. This is the same mill levy rate that we've had for 28 years, the 11.597 mills. So I think that's important for our community to know. And this is not an increase in tax rate by the city. This is certification of our property tax rate, also known as a mill levy.
Excellent. Discussion? Joanna, open the vote, please.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
We'll close that vote, and CR 119 passes unanimously.
Okay, CR 120. Joanna, will you read the title?
A resolution approving an electronic participation policy for the City of Northglenn, Colorado.
City manager, do we have a discussion here?
Joanna, our city clerk, is available to answer any questions. Or, oh, I'm sorry, Corey. Sorry, I jumped ahead. My apologies. City Attorney Hoffman is available to answer any questions.
Good evening once again. This is a similar draft to what was provided at the previous meeting with one addition. And I will just read the new language that was added based on the discussion at the last meeting. For purposes of this policy, infrequent or occasional substitution for physical attendance shall mean no more than 4 posted city council meetings, including study sessions, per calendar year. Provided, however, a council member may request city council approval of electronic participation for more than 4 posted city council meetings in any calendar year in the event of unforeseen circumstances that warrant, in the sole discretion of city council, authorizing electronic participation for a council member in excess of 4 meetings in any calendar year. So the idea is that 4 is the presumptive number, but if someone has an unforeseen emergency, then council can authorize more than 4 meetings to be attended by electronic participation. Other than that addition, the policy is the same as was presented to you at the previous meeting.
I just want to take a minute and thank council for addressing this situation. I really think that as we move forward with more and more people that are forced to travel and things like that, they'll have an opportunity to participate, not worry that their job requires them to be on the road, or in my case, I had a family emergency. So I really do appreciate council bringing this forward. I think it's going to be quite beneficial.
Anybody? Joanna, open the vote, please.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CR 120 passes unanimously.
Excellent. CR 121. Joanna, will you read the title?
A resolution certifying delinquent nuisance abatement charges to the Adams County Treasurer for collection pursuant to CRS Section 31-20-105.
City manager, do we have a summary?
I'll turn it over to City Clerk Joanna Small.
And if council doesn't mind, I'd like to provide a summary for both CR 121 and 122, since they're very similar. So the proposed resolutions authorize the city to certify delinquent charges to the Adams County Treasurer to then be collected and remitted to the city as special assessments. Throughout the year, the city clerk's office files liens against certain properties at the request of neighborhood services or code enforcement and utility billing. And those are for amounts due to the city for past due property abatement fees or water and sewer account charges. So the annual certification process provides the city with another opportunity to collect on the amounts due through the county's special assessment process. CR 121 and CR 122 would certify a total of 5 delinquent charges. On CR 121, Exhibit A includes 2 nuisance abatement liens that are attached to 1 property. And on CR 122, the exhibit includes 3 utility liens. And those would be certified to the Adams County Treasurer. Staff recommends approval of both resolutions, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone see a reason that we would separate the two? vote on them as a packet?
We can?
Okay, sure. Please open the vote.
Okay. The vote is open. So we'll close that vote, and both CR 121 and CR 122 pass unanimously.
Thank you. CR 123. Joanna, will you read the title?
A resolution approving an amendment to the Stanley Lake Park IGA between the cities of Westminster, Thornton, and Northglenn.
Move for approval. Second.
City Manager Geiger.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Lady. To summarize this item, this is an amendment that's requested to extend for 1 year an IGA that is due to expire at the end of November. This is the Stanley Lake Park Intergovernmental Agreement. Stanley Lake is Westminster's, Thornton's, and Northglen's sole water supply. And we have been collaborating with both of those entities in terms of response to concerns around boating and the potential for zebra quagga mussel, if I said that correctly. So the city is in support of recommending this extension in order to provide all three entities additional time to have discussion and really develop an approach moving forward. Again, the current IGA is set to expire at the end of November, and we're not currently in a position to bring a draft IGA forward to council for approval, given the current circumstances with boating concerns. So Tammy Moon, our Water Resources Administrator, is here tonight, as well as Kent Kisselman, and Corey Hoffman, our city attorney, has been involved in this item and happy to answer any questions, but we're recommending that we move forward with the IGA extension, and then this item will certainly be coming back to you for further discussion.
So I could be missing it. How long is the extension?
It's 1 year.
1 year.
Yes. The specific dates,
No,
1 year following the extension.
It's in section 18D, and it terminates in November, and then the language says this agreement is hereby extended for 1 year. So it would expire in November 2020 if this is adopted. And during that 1 year time frame, the three entities are going to be working on a solution, hopefully to everyone's satisfaction, to eliminate any risk related to the zebra mussel.
Questions? Discussion? Nope.
There's no additional funding required or anything?
No,
Nothing.
nope.
Right, not for the
This
next
is
year.
purely an extension.
Okay. So can I open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 123 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, moving into discussion items, City Council Orientation Program. City Manager Geyer.
I'm going to have City Clerk Joanna Small kick off this discussion. She's outlined recommendations for council's consideration, and our goal tonight is to get further direction from council moving forward, so that way we can go ahead and tee up the onboarding program for our newly elected officials following the election in a couple weeks.
Alrighty. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council members. So regarding the City Council Orientation Program, we've done the math, and the City Council will have a minimum of 2 new members following the November 5th election, or the council could potentially have 5 new members. So staff's goal is to bring new council members up to speed as quickly as possible so they can step into their new roles and be effective members of the council team. Staff believes that flexibility, participation, and the right information will ease that transition. So as the city manager stated, the purpose of the discussion tonight is to obtain input from the entire city council on the orientation program so that we can better prepare incoming and current members of council for their roles as elected officials. So the memo that's been provided includes the objectives of a council orientation, staff's plans for providing that program, and then recommendations. So I can quickly run through the 4 recommendations, if you'd like. Okay. So the first one is to prioritize orientation for all members of council. Staff recommends that veteran members of the council participate in orientation activities alongside newly elected members so that they can provide guidance, share experience, and support the positive group dynamic. Participation by everyone will allow members to be seen, to hear the same information, and to be at the table with their new colleagues. The second recommendation is that we conduct orientation meetings or events on multiple days to maximize the opportunities. Staff proposes to keep the sessions simple and relatively short, and recommend scheduling at least 2 sessions so that the council members aren't overwhelmed with information, and then to also allow for some flexibility in case other types of learning sessions are provided. And those different types of learning sessions are included in recommendation 3, and that is to provide a mix of learning and interactive exercises, which may include mock meetings or interactive role-playing, videos to demonstrate best practices, a Jeopardy-style game on city government, tours of municipal facilities, opportunities for ride-alongs with different staff, departmental speed dating, team building exercises to build trust and camaraderie. And in order to provide flexibility, if council desires to utilize some of those sessions, activities such as the facility tours could be optional or could be provided for smaller groups in order to accommodate the different individuals' schedules for those. Moving to recommendation number 4, we want to keep the most important information as the most important information. Staff's objective is strong content, strong counsel. There will always be the basics that we need to provide to the council, such as legal items, which you're legally allowed to do as an elected official. But staff is seeking input from all members of council to improve meeting the needs of the group. In addition to the in-person sessions, we will also be reformatting and updating the council handbook so that includes all of the information provided and then additional information that council may need to refer to. And that handbook will be loaded onto the thin clients on the council dais and then on the Chromebooks that are used at study sessions so that that's easy to refer to and easy to access. So, if I can touch on recommendation 3 first, I'd like to know from council if there are any parts of the mix of learning and interactive exercises that cause a negative feeling or an unsure feeling, items that you would just be opposed to, or if there are any items that we may have missed that you'd be interested in us pursuing. Yes.
I would like to see for you to try a different format other than Jeopardy-style game on city government. Because some of our, newly elected people might be embarrassed, you know what I mean? If we could just do it in a different way.
Okay.
I would really appreciate that. I do like everything that you're doing. I think it's great, and it's definitely time coming. I just don't want anybody to be intimidated by what they don't know. And I think my other comment, I'm sorry, would be addressing to Corey. I don't think that we did a really good job, or maybe there was a lack of understanding on some of the requirements for city council in how many people can be in a meeting. You know, we had all those discussions. I remember when I first started that we are not to, city council should not get together beforehand in groups and determine how they're going to vote or issues they're going to push and things like that. And I remember it's not a joke, but if if 3 or more city council members are together at the same time, it's considered a meeting. I'm not saying that you didn't do a good job on it. What I'm saying is I don't think that it was covered really well so that everybody understood the intent. And I'd like to make sure that it's understood when we bring in our new councils, just how that all works and intertwines.
Okay.
Okay?
Joanna, I appreciate the mock meetings and interactive role-playing, especially those who might be newer to Robert's rules. I think that could be a really good way of just kind of getting used to how things roll.
Yeah.
When when I became parliamentarian, somebody felt it was necessary to leave me the Robert's Rules in my desk drawer. Maybe we should get those for everybody that's joining this time, maybe for the council members here that don't have it. I think it's always a nice reminder.
Joanna, thanks for putting this together. I really feel like you heard the feedback that we've been providing, and I really appreciate the time and the thoughtfulness that you have put towards building out a new sort of approach to onboarding council members. In particular, I really do like the idea for the mock meetings, because I think, we can all be better about utilizing Robert's rules, because I think frankly, it'll help our meetings flow a little bit better. And I also really like that you've integrated team building exercises, because I feel like, I think it's really important to me to make sure that we are all establishing trust on the front end, because we're going to work together for quite a bit of time. And I think that setting that tone for how we work together is going to be really important to getting us all off on the right foot, and making sure that everybody feels like they're playing on the same team. The other piece around tours of the municipal facilities, I know that you said that this could be something that's optional, but I actually think it's a huge opportunity for the council to be there entirely together, as more of like a strongly suggested session, because it almost serves as like a refresher for those of us who are going to be carrying over to the next council, and serves a little bit as sort of a like state of the city. And again, just I guess reinforces that we're all on the same page and starting from this equal footing of equal information. So I really like that, and I'll leave it to you in terms of how you want to prioritize it, but I really, the team building to me feels like it's so crucial. And Corey, if you want to talk about 3 people in a meeting and the difference between 3 people going to brunch and not talking about city stuff versus 3 people getting together and talking about city stuff, that would be fantastic as well.
Certainly. And frankly, I think with what's happened in the past year, there will be a lot more discussion about email, because the courts in Colorado are looking at email a lot more closely than they have previously.
Joanna, the last piece that I wanted to share is that I know that in scanning ahead that you're going to ask us in terms of, what one topic of training we'd like to see, or what information we would have liked to have had as a newly elected. And one piece that I still feel like I'm really lacking knowledge in is how our municipal court system works. And I obviously, was a part of hiring the municipal judge, but really wanting to better understand her role and what our role is as council and how those two intersect.
I'll include that certainly as part of my orientation.
Thanks, Corey.
I know we're talking about timing.
Yes. So a tiny calendar has been included that captures.
It's tiny.
It is kind of tiny, but colorful.
Yeah.
Captures part of November and part of December. So depending on the date of the swearing in, also referred to as the organizational meeting of council, and then everybody's availability, an orientation schedule will be developed and obviously shared with everybody. It would be helpful for staff to know if there are any dates or times that the council members are not available for orientation. It is also possible, you can see that November 27th is highlighted in orange. That is the last day that the county has to certify the results of the election. It is possible that orientation could happen prior to then if the results are clear. So that just depends on how the results shake out. So if you would just share the information, it doesn't have to be tonight, with staff as far as your availability, so that we can try to accommodate everybody's schedules the best. So that's the timing piece.
So you have the swearing in / organizational meeting. I thought we'd had a discussion about separating those two. Are we not?
The discussion was that the organizational meeting is going to be much less inclusive than it was previously. You're required to have the organizational meeting for the mayor pro tem under the charter,
Okay.
but the remainder of the appointments that were traditionally done at the organizational meeting will now be delayed. That was,
Thank you. That's what I was asking. Okay. So what is the ask, Joanna? You want us to go through and give you the answers to the questions above the mini calendar by a certain date?
Well, so staff is open to receiving verbal feedback tonight, or if council prefers, I do have a feedback form that I could distribute after the meeting, where you could take some time and record your thoughts and then submit that to us at a later date, in the next week-ish. Would be great, so that we can start looking at that information. So willing to do that either way.
My thing is, the one thing I just want to throw out there is I think that 8 hours is too much in one day.
Okay.
Because there's so much information for us to share. 8 hours in one day, I think everybody's head would float, especially new people. You know what I mean? So that's just my own opinion.
I could see with really good facilitation, we could move in and out and try to get it done in one day. Maybe it doesn't run 8 hours. Looking at some of the strategies that you have in number 3, that would really break it up and provide those brain breaks that keep things from being too mundane. I really appreciate the recommendation that it happens together, but it's not just for new members, but actually a process that we engage in as a unit, having the veteran members of council there as well. I mean, you've covered a lot of the pieces that my memory of orientation was after we had already begun, and it was only Corey's rattling off the fancy rules. And that was
highly explained.
Yeah, no, it was thorough.
Did a great job
It was
for you.
thorough. But that was it. That was my memory of it, right? As far as a formal orientation. So some of those other pieces took longer, and I think it took probably extra time for staff as well. You know, if they have to have multiple conversations that are the same with a bunch of people at different times, that can be exhausting and be a time sucker for all of us. But then it was just that, you know, kind of being tossed in without training at that first meeting. So you really, like, that logistics piece is key. I really like the plan, so, yeah.
Go ahead. I really like the idea of adding a lot more to the orientation. I like how thorough you're being with the topics, and just the way that you're approaching it, I think could be really helpful. I also like the idea of us going through it together. I think it's a great team building activity for us to get a good refresher of the rules, things we should be knowing about the city, and then really just getting to know one another, I think could be really helpful. Honestly, there's always going to be some degree of kind of like drinking from the fire hose. There's so much to learn. It's really overwhelming. So I think there's no way that you could really, you know, prepare 100% and get out the door and ready. But I think if anything, if you could help us build those relationships and give us some foundational information that, you know, we could build off of. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough transition for anybody who's coming on council. But I mean, I think it's just important to kind of, start chipping away at it and get a strong foundation. So I like the plan. And then I'm more than willing to share my perspective on your first questions here. Would you want that in email or? Do you have the form back word? Did you have a form you said?
I do.
Okay.
So it's up to council how you would like to provide that input, whether it's tonight verbally or at a later date with the form.
I'll do a form.
Yeah, I'm fine with the form.
Form, okay.
Jenny?
Joanna, the only other thing outside of this orientation that you put together that would have been really helpful, and I hope that can be scheduled before council members come onto the dais, is even just a very quick, like, half an hour, hour-long meeting that's like, hey, congrats, you're elected. This is how you use the voting system, and this is how to get logged on, and like, this is where you're gonna sit. And that way it feels a little bit more natural after being sworn in to then come up here and participate in the meeting. I just want folks to be able to operate with as much ease on a night that is intense.
Yes.
Very nerve-wracking.
It is. It's very nerve-wracking.
Do you think we should go as far as to bring in some, because you had mentioned when you first started about the executive session stuff that you weren't aware of, and I'm wondering if we shouldn't bring a little update of executive session stuff into an executive session, you know, what we still have pending or anything, or no?
Before they're sworn in?
No, after.
Okay, okay. Just bear
I mean,
Yeah.
we'll have some executive session materials in December or January. I don't know that there's anything that's going to require a specific update. And certainly as part of my orientation, I do what executive sessions are and what the rules are surrounding executive sessions.
I think we were still dealing with Adolf dog.
May have been.
Yeah, and I can't think of anything now that we're carrying over from executive session.
There are some things that are carrying over, but we'll be able to give full updates, I think, in probably January.
So the only other thing I see is where it says protocol. That seems to fall under some of those communication norms that we're working on. And so maybe that would go in place of that bulleted item. Just review those communication norms across the board.
And if I can add, Mayor Pro Tem Lady, development of those communication norms and then review of the existing council protocol. I think those are probably two separate pieces that you'll want to address.
When we're doing the orientation, can we also include an overview of the boards and commissions, and then also kind of talk through how we're all as a council managing our obligations and staying on top of things and covering for each other as needed, so we're not leaving seats open at tables where the city should really be?
Yep. So I will distribute that form tonight. If you prefer to use a hard copy, I will also email it to everybody. So depending on your preference, you can drop it by or you can return the email with that information. And just to close up tonight, staff, as Councilmember Wilford already stated, staff wants council to know that we hear you and we want to address the feedback that we've received to date about the previous orientation sessions. We're also committed to providing council with the tools necessary to be effective members of the team. And we'll be as flexible as possible to accommodate council schedules, but we're really looking forward to buy-in from council and participation as well. So thank you for your input, and thank you in advance for sending more input.
Yeah. Thanks, Joanna.
Okay, communications, we'll start with Councilmember Sauer.
Nothing tonight, Mayor Pro Tem.
No.
A wonderful evening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was great.
great.
Well, we have been waiting for this for years. I'm so excited. I mean, it's only been 20 years. I mean, you know, so thank you to the staff for putting on this wonderful event. I mean, even with all the snow on the ground and all the things going on, the speakers were wonderful. I know the developers and everybody are really involved with it, you can tell. So exciting the evening. It was wonderful. So thank you for everybody that has done everything. Just had one other, well, maybe two. Attended the Adams County Cultural Council check presentation last week. And typically I don't mention this, but I wanted to let everybody know that the Arts and Humanities Foundation received $187,000. It's the largest grant that they've gotten from the Cultural Council yet, and the majority of that money will be used towards the new theater. So really excited about that. One other just small thing, Tom Rapp, who is the director of RSVP for Senior Hub, is retiring, and they hosted his retirement party over at Stonehawker the other evening. So Tri-County Health was there, and many, many other people that participate in the community garden were there, and it was quite a function. So it was very nice. That's what I had.
We did Safe Street Halloween on Saturday night. It was awesome, and I really did appreciate being able to get out there with our small business and answered a lot of questions, and the phone was ringing off the hook, so I really do appreciate being able to do that. We had a great time with the kids. I don't know if there's a final count yet, but it seemed at least 3,400,000.
3 million.
My stomach felt like I had been doing exercises all night from leaning down to their little bags, you know? So, yeah, it was, and then holding on to the table so we didn't get blown away at the end. But Reliable Auto Glass and I just really appreciate the opportunity to get out there, and it was fun being with all the kids and doing the judging and everything, so that was just like so awesome. I just want to take a minute and congratulate Amanda on her award. I think that is awesome, you know? Every time, or almost every day that I have any interaction with the city, I really am reminded about what a great staff we have. I'm sorry the kid's gone, because I was going to tell them how great the snow removal was on my street. It was gone by 7 o'clock this morning, so that was really awesome.
Mine wasn't.
Mine was. I was a happy camper.
I don't care.
Joe was shoveling snow out from outside the tires, but, you know, he was fine. Other than that, I don't have anything. I just really appreciate the Safe Street Halloween, and I appreciated all the costumes that Chief helped on, and everybody seemed to go crazy over. So I posted my pictures today, and you're like the hero of many, many people. And that's all I have.
So I just wanted to give staff a huge round of applause for the business appreciation breakfast that we had last Friday. There is a lot of work that goes into making that event happen. And thank you to Debbie, who's back here, and Shannon and John for the design, Becky Smith, and a lot of our other staff that sits on the committee for that. It's hard to believe we're at 8 years on that. So thank you so much for your effort in putting that together, and Nura for providing funding, and all of our other sponsors as well. It was a great event. And then I also was at Safe Street, and I went just so I can see all the stuff that Chief put together for that, and see some of the costumes. That was great. And then groundbreaking tonight was exciting. But I also wanted to just mention that Bonnie Cowan, who is one of our seniors, is pulling together the stockings for the troops that she does each year. And they are low on items to put into those stockings. So if residents are interested in whether it's that you want to just make a financial contribution, and the senior organization will be able to purchase those items to get into the stockings, or you want to bring items to the senior center, or to the Great Way office if you live kind of on the south side of Northglenn. You can drop those off. You can contact the senior organization for a list of items. Most importantly, it's like don't bring chocolate and stuff like that. But you know, like little fun, like puzzle games and things like that. Granola bars are just really great things to help support our troops. They are accepting those items up until the 14th of this month, in which then they'll be stocking, getting the stocking stuffed and shipped out. So please, if you're interested in that, I would say get a hold of the Northglenn Senior Organization, contact the rec center, and they can put you in touch with Kate and can coordinate that. It would be greatly appreciated.
Great. I attended Safe Street Halloween, which was lots of fun. The kids had a great time. And again, I love to see chiefs so creative. I don't know how you do it, among everything else. So super jealous because I wish my daughter has been begging me to come up with some really creative Halloween decorations, although I'm not a creative person. So super jealous of Chief and his ability to make awesome things. I attended the Northglenn Business Appreciation Breakfast, which is always fantastic because we have such amazing businesses here in Northglenn. So it's great to have the opportunity to celebrate them. I do want to just give two brief updates. The first one is, I guess, activities that's been going on with NADA. And of course, my good friend Joyce is with me on a lot of this work. But we've been talking with several cities about some of the concerns that our community has specifically with RTD. We've been working with Thornton and Brighton and Adams County, and particularly advocating for a different approach to the current fare issue that we're seeing that's going to be happening with the N-line opening. So the final two stops are in that regional fare zone, so we're going to actually have to be paying extra, our residents, for boarding the train at those stations. And so we've come up with some ideas of how we want to advocate for our community and address and outline those concerns in a letter to go to the board, the RTD board. We also have been tracking some legislation that could be coming up this next session, especially something that's coming out of the Transportation Interim Committee. So just so residents know, we are very passionate to advocate for our community and making sure that we're getting our fair deal when it comes to RTD and the fares that we need, as well as just the quality of service that we've been paying for 2 decades. So we'd like to see that improved a little bit. Another just topic is Tri-County Board of Health. I sit as on the Board of Health as an Adams County representative. I just wanted to let council know that last Tuesday, the Board of Health passed a resolution declaring youth vaping an epidemic. And in the resolution, there was outlined a series of suggestions that we would like local governments as well as school districts and other leaders, community leaders, to help just kind of focus and address this issue that we're seeing in all of our communities. So that's it for me.
All right. A couple of updates from me. First, I also attended Safe Street Halloween. Congratulations to everybody who was involved in putting it together. I thought it was a tremendous success, and I also wanted to note that I really appreciated the earlier start time. This year, that was definitely nice, especially having younger kids. So thanks for that. I thought it really worked. I also attended the Business Appreciation Breakfast, and I thought staff did a tremendous job of putting that forward. I was lucky enough to get to sit with Purple Moon, who was honored as, I believe, the new small business of the year. And it was just a lot of fun to be there and celebrate with them in their first business breakfast. As an established business in Northglenn, it's been really fun to watch them grow. So thanks again to staff for putting that on and making sure that it was as successful as it was. Let's see. Also last week I attended the Early Childhood Partnership of Adams County breakfast and heard all about the efforts that they're doing to support early childhood development in the county. And let's see, also last week was an additional meeting for the Croak Reservoir Subcommittee, and the group chose a new chairperson to lead the meetings. Her name is Tamara Burke, and we expect that they'll start moving into action planning in the subsequent meetings. So good stuff coming out of that group. The Recreation Center groundbreaking was phenomenal. I was so impressed with everything from the way that it was set up to the way that the event was run. It just really felt like we had taken everything that we're doing to the next level, and it just really showed through in the entire presentation. And despite the fact that it was freezing outside, somehow you all managed to keep that tent warm. So congratulations and thanks for all of the legwork in making that happen. And then two last things. One is I will be traveling to DC this evening, hopping on a flight at midnight, and will be joining the executive session tomorrow with NURA via phone. So thanks for passing the electronic policy, participation policy. I'm so excited to take advantage of it tomorrow, and as this travel is for my job. And then finally, Election Day is next Tuesday. Residents, if you're holding on to your ballot, it is time to get it in. And I'm sure that Joanna can explain more in terms of how you can cast your ballot.
Great. Okay, I'm going to echo a few things. I'm going to be intentionally redundant because there's some pretty amazing things happening in our city. The Northglenn Business Appreciation Breakfast was classy. And Debbie, you and your team, that was a beautiful event. It was very well organized. It was impressive. And I know all of those businesses felt very appreciated and very honored. And that was the intent, so you pulled it off. So thank you. Safe Street was awesome. It was super fun. I love having that many kids come through. It was very chilly. But the partnership that we have with the Northglenn Police Department, but also our North Metro Fire District, Station 62 was there, handing out all sorts of stuff, hats and bracelets, and they were just great. And so I think some of my favorite photos were little miniature policemen taking photographs with our actual policemen. And same thing with these little teeny firefighters with their trick-or-treat basket, getting to go to the truck. So it was just a really well-rounded community event, so it's one of my favorites. I did have the opportunity, I was invited and I went to the ribbon cutting for the Studio School's new theater. It's bond money, so thank you to the voters that they were in the final phase and they turned their, what would have been a gymnasium, into an amazing theater space. So if you get a chance, you should go. If you get invited, go see a show. But just a little bit jealous that they finally built it after my children were gone. But the kids that are there and the staff that's there, they deserve that. Really, classy facility. It's beautiful. Went to the North Metro Fire District Board meeting on the 16th. They swore in the new board member, Robert Nielsen. They were welcoming him back, and I guess he still had all of his shirts and attire, so he could just slide right back into the role, and he was happy to be there. Lots of swearing in of new positions. One of the things that I would love to see is I was so impressed, and I'm pretty sure his first name was Matt, but I did not get his last name, created the most amazing data tables. So they were advocating for an increase in FTE in certain positions. And in order to do that, this young man put together the most amazing graphs and tables and images. so much, I'd never seen a presentation that solid to the point where the board was like, well, I don't even know how we say no, because it was so well done. So it was just really interesting. So if we could tap into their expertise, that was a really fun thing to see. And then finally, I just want to congratulate, and I'm probably going to say her name wrong, Colorado Teacher of the Year from Mountain Range High School, Hillary, I want to say Weimer, Wimmer. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but she's amazing, well deserving of this award. It was a huge celebration. They had a big party at the high school. Colorado Teacher of the Year is a big deal, so congratulations to her. All right, Joanna?
Just some quick election information. Today is the first day that the voter service and polling centers were open. The closest location for Northglenn voters is at the Adams County Economic Development Office, which is just off of 122nd and Pecos. The hours for all voter service and polling centers in Adams County are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturday, 9 to 2, and from 7 to 7 on Election Day. I would really encourage everybody to take advantages of the services that they offer at those centers. Those services include getting a replacement ballot, dropping off your voted ballot, voting in person. They have ADA accessible ballot marking devices. Colorado residents can register in person up to and on Election Day, so you can take care of that there, and you can also make changes to your voter registration at any of the locations. You're not required to use the one closest to Northglenn. If there's one closer to your job or wherever, you can use any voter service and polling center in Adams County. And as Councilmember Wilford mentioned, dig those ballots out. Please open the envelopes and vote the ballot. But when you do, don't forget to peel off your I voted sticker that's included on the instruction sheet this year. That's something that Adams County is doing for the first time. It doesn't look like a sticker at first, but it is. It's really awesome, and it was created by Logan Taylor, who is a graduate of Legacy High School and a student at Regis University. So this is the first of 4 stickers that Adams County had a contest for. This is the first one. Next year for the general election in 2020, they'll use a different sticker from the contest, so that's pretty cool. There are also really great instructions included on that instruction sheet, so please take a look at that. Recommend not mailing your ballots in after today. So the best thing to do to ensure that they're received is to drop them into a 24-hour ballot box. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just want to let the public know that our snow crews have been hard at work. I just got an update a few minutes ago from our Public Works Director, and they have been able to get out to every school in Northglenn, so we have 13 different locations. And so our crews will come back in the morning, hard at work unless the snow comes in earlier. They'll continue to monitor it. But just I want to extend a thanks to our snow crews. That includes staff from Public Works and Parks and Recreation. I was at the rec center bright and early at 6 a.m. this morning, and they were hard at work clearing the parking lot. Also a big shout out to staff, directors, and the managers and supervisors that are involved in the budget process. It's a huge team effort over the course of multiple months. And so as we shift into the end of the year, we will prepare to start thinking about 2021 budget. That's how cyclical of a process it is. So thank you for your support with budget, and then also thank you for your support on the strategic plan. We're really excited about it. We feel like we've really been able to help elevate the conversation. There's a lot to do in that strategic plan, and look forward to executing on everything that's contained in that vision that you crafted and put together. So thank you.
Nothing tonight, I've said enough.
Okay, public invited to be heard. 3 minutes per speaker. Statements should be related to an item previously addressed by council during the meeting. Does anyone have anything to share? All right, seeing none, I will officially adjourn the meeting. Thank you for coming.